Hello and welcome to my chess lesson, Attack the Vulnerable Point, Part 5. Okay, so we have seen a couple of examples related to the vulnerability, and as I mentioned earlier, vulnerable point is something like which is exposed to attack. Okay, and the champions like Gary Kasparov once said the most important thing in chess is to understand the vulnerabilities of your opponent position. Okay, but what separates the champions from the amateur players is like the amateur players also spot some vulnerabilities, but the champions spot hidden vulnerabilities. Okay, in the position, hidden vulnerabilities are quite difficult to spot. Sometimes, if a piece is not well coordinated, or if it's placed in a square which is exposed to attack, then it becomes vulnerable. Okay, weak square, if it placed on a weak square and it becomes vulnerable. Okay, here's one example you can see here. Here it's not so easy to win because black has got some hidden vulnerabilities. We'll see how white can win the game here. Okay, so the b6 square is somewhat weak because they're not able to really defend that with the knight. Usually these kind of position the knight used to be there. Okay, so we can take a chance here. So bishop can go to b6, attacking the queen, and now the queen went to d7. Okay, you can see black is slightly lacking some space in the center. White space is slightly better than black. Okay, you can see the control over the squares. Okay, but now there is a hidden vulnerability. Can you spot it? White has a very strong plan here. Okay, you can think for a moment. Okay, now you see the way to play for win is white should go pawn to e5. Surprisingly, e5 is a very strong attempt. So white should play e5, attacking the knight. So they have to take. Let's see. This gives a very strong initiative. So let's say they take, and we can exchange the queen. Queen takes a d7. So they have to take back with the knight and not with the bishop, because if they take with the bishop, you can just take on b7, and you see the a6 pawn also falls. Once the a6 pawn falls, you get a chance to push. So this gives an advantage. So let's say they take with the knight. Okay, so knight takes, d7 is forced here. Okay, so now this knight on d6, I mean d7 is also exposed to attack. Okay, on the file, I mean the d file. So the rook could probably come here, but there's a defender. So what we do is we just capture on c6. Okay, so we capture, and they capture back, and the rook on a1 joins the attack on d1, because this rook is needed to attack the e5 pawn. Okay, this position is now tricky because it's not so easy to handle. Okay, so let's say it looks like knight takes b6 is strong for black, but in fact it is actually weaker. I will show you why it is weak, because if they take, we can take back with the pawn, and we have a very strong square for the knight on a4. Okay, and this pawn is a potential passer. So let's say if they try bishop b4, we can directly take on e5. Rook takes e5, because now they have to capture, otherwise knight a4 is coming. So let's say they capture on c3, and then we can capture with the b pawn. Let's say they bring rook fb8. We have to get the rook to b1. This is forced, and they have passer. Okay, so they are coming up with this idea. So we need to make this into connected ones. Okay, so what we can do is we can just attack this. So rook c5, and if they go a4, we can take. So let's say they play a3, we can go c4, a2, rook can block, and c5 is coming, and this will become very strong passer pawn, and both the pawns are connected or protected by each other. Okay, so and the a2 pawn will become more vulnerable soon we can get the king here and take it. Okay, because these two pawns are very difficult to handle, because usually if two pawns gets on the 6th rank, it is generally stronger than the rook. Okay, and white is winning here because there's no defense for c5. Okay, so what we can do here is, so we can take on c6, pawn takes, and the knight is exposed to attack, so we can go rook ad1. So they take, if they don't take, and if they go something like knight c5, then we can take on e5. Okay, once again the knight is exposed on c5, and squares like d7 are vulnerable. If they retreat the knight something like b7, we can go here, rook d7. See, this is very strong. Okay, so therefore let's say they take, we take back, and let's say they play rook fb8, b8. Okay, rook fb8, we have knight a4, so no problem. So rook d8, still we can go knight a4, we can protect this pawn. Okay, so let's say they play rook ab8. Now how to develop a plan here? So we have a strong winning plan. So we can try to make it into a chain pawn. That is one attempt. Okay, so if they go rook ab8, we can go c4. c4 is really good here. See, c4, an attempt to play c5. Okay, so if c5 comes, it's very strong. So let's say they try to stop c5 by playing c5 themselves, and here we need to connect it. So the best thing we can do here is we can play b4. Very strong one, creating the connected pawns. So they take, and then we can go pawn to c5. So after some preparation, first we can take, let's say they take with the rook or bishop. In both cases c5 is coming, so take and c5. See, it's very strong. Then we can slowly bring the king to this side, and we can win the pawns. And if they protect this, the light square also becomes more vulnerable. We can get the king there and start pushing. Okay, so this is one very strong idea. So a into b6 is too strong. So let's say they have to play rook d8. Yeah, rook d8, we have to go knight a4. Knight a4 is very strong, and rook b8. Okay, and another idea is we can go pawn to b3. This is also possible. Okay, so this is also one idea, because if they go rook d4, we can chase the rook with c3. Okay, let's say they take. This is a big mistake, because we can take on d1, and we have entry point here. Okay, these pawns are weak, soon it will be exposed to attack. So e4, let's say rook d7, and if black plays bishop d8, trying to win the pawn on b6. So now it's white to play. We can just push it forward. Okay, so we want to aim for this square, the b8, because we have a pass pawn. When we have a pass pawn, we should try to get control over the square which is in front of the pawn. So b8 is the square what we need, which we need. So we can plan knight c5 and knight a6. So let's say they play bishop f6. Okay, so we can go knight c5 and bishop e5. We can take. Let's say they move the rook. Okay, so we want this pawn to go forward, but right now they are holding it. But anyways, we have still two more pawns. We have majority here, so we can start pushing c4, b4, etc. So f5, and we can play c5, fixing the pawn. Okay, so now the knight can shift back and attack the c6 pawn. So king f8, it's easy. Now we can go knight b4, and most like bishop b8 also doesn't help because knight takes, and we achieved a winning position here. So there are 3 pawns which is difficult to fight, and c6 is coming very quickly. Okay, so black loses here, white wins. Okay, so we'll see more examples related to this in the next upcoming lessons. Thank you.